Everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm JM Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, September 20th, 2024. You know what that means, friends. It's time for me to answer all of your burning questions live. We're going to talk about this week's cannabis news, policy, science developments. We're going to talk about action alerts that you can take to help advance meaningful cannabis policy reform across the nation. Hey, 21 watching on YouTube. I see that. That's the name of Keith's book. Look at that. Look at that. Right there. Right there, buddy. Oh, I'm sorry, I hadn't even gone down yet. Hi, Brian. It's right there. Hilarious. Okay, I just threw books everywhere. That'll be fun. Good to see you. That would be great if Google would stop kicking me out. Wherever you're watching from, drop a note in the comments and let me know where that is. I got Brian in Cleveland. We got Nick somewhere. Or where are you, Nick? We got Laurel in Richmond. I see you. I see you. Hey, Lance. Good to see you. I see you as well. All right. Well, look at that. Lance, St. Joseph, Missouri. Good job. Nick, Pennsylvania. That's right. Nick, we're going to have I don't know if Morgan put it up this week or not, but we're putting up a new action alert for Pennsylvania. Since there appear to be a myriad of legalization bills in Pennsylvania now, we are going to have one adult use action alert for all of them. I'm trying to look right now and see. It's kind of hard to see the way nope, they haven't been combined yet, but that's coming. It's coming, Nick. Laurel down the street. Hi, Laurel. You're over there somewhere. Hey, Troy, watching in Wisconsin. We did make it. Happy Friday to you as well. I'm so happy it's Friday. Let's talk about, we have a lot of news for this past week. There's so much that I didn't even include all of it, but we're gonna do some. Let's start with the end of. We'll start with the last weekend. There it is. Okay, as I'm sure you've all seen by now, but in case you haven't, we're going to talk about it. There were some audio tapes discovered in which former President Nixon admits that he did not believe marijuana was all that dangerous. And he thought that, maybe we should look at revising penalties. Yet he also willingly signed the Controlled Substances Act into law, placing marijuana in Schedule 1. I think the technical term for this is liar, liar, pants on fire. So here, hey, Fred, happy Friday to you as well. Here's that story. This story's in a lot of places, but it's on the NORML blog as well. So, go read it there. Okay, thanks. What do you think? Yo, what a trickster. I think I think he was. I think he was, in fact, a trickster. You know where he did his press release? His press event for, there's a bug in here. Nixon did his Watergate scandal press event at the Walt Disney World Contemporary Resort Hotel. There's some random trivia for you today. All right. Hey, everyone who just joined us on Instagram. I can see your questions on Instagram. I can't show them on the screen. It doesn't work that way. It won't let me. I would if I could. But hey, if you're watching Instagram, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking time out of your Friday. Hit that follow button on Instagram so you never miss when NORML goes live. That goes for the rest of you. Wherever you're watching, hit that like, follow, or subscribe button, whatever that platform you're watching on gives you. Hit that. Make sure you're following us. Cool. So Nixon, ew. I did have someone reach out to me and say that they thought that they were like, oh, I don't know that he's the guy you should be like lifting up. We're not. We're saying there are recordings. He knew he was lying when he lied. Just to be clear. Okay. You know, something that we've talked about together a few times, but we'll talk about it again. Here we go. Both presidential candidates agree we need to stop arresting people for marijuana. And I think it's really interesting. You know, clearly in an election where every vote counts, both candidates are presumably looking at marijuana policy reform as an opportunity to meet the majority of voters where they are at. I think it's super, it's great, right? But it's like, this is where voters are. Why wouldn't you be there as well? Now, saying something on the campaign trail is a lot different than having a record of taking action on this issue. And it's a lot different than doing something once you're elected. Nick, I didn't read that article. Thank you for letting me know. Tom, I'm sorry I didn't read that article, but I will definitely read that. Yes, yes, Nick, I agree. Oh my goodness, this is very interesting. Okay, I want to read that, but I haven't read it, so I can't do that right now. Hi, Skyline, I see you over on Instagram. Anyhow, marijuana policy support from both candidates. Yay. I want to get all this like federal stuff. Ugh, there's too many things. They're all the same. All right, here's a poll that was done. And this will come, I'm sure, is just so surprising to you. But this is a poll that was done on swing state voters, so Nevada and Arizona. And they asked them a few questions. And a super majority of voters in Arizona and Nevada, hold on, a super majority of voters support legalizing marijuana. They support removing marijuana from Schedule 1 under federal law, and they support allowing banks financial institutions to provide services to state-licensed cannabis businesses. Shocking, I know. But I think that those two pieces go nicely together. The candidates agreeing that it's time to stop arresting people for marijuana across the country, and swing state voters saying, yeah, that's what we've been saying. All right, it seems very quiet in here today. Thank you. And on cue, there's Christopher. It will no longer be quiet. Look, Francis, I don't think that the government cares, to be honest, about the constituents of cannabis. Here's the thing, though. I really like your comment. Francis says, if the government had its way, it would remove all terpenes and make us just consume isolates. So the thing is, you can already do that. And the government's already said, hey, if you want isolates, here's some products available for you by prescription or even without prescription. So you can get isolate CBD in a variety of products. Of course, you can get isolated THC as a prescription drug right now. So I think that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. It's just not, as people know, it's not the same. Um, I kind of say that to agree with you. Like, yeah, and those are the drugs that they approve, that are allowed to come to market under FDA approval. Christopher, ooh, I like your question. It does, yeah. I mean yeah, absolutely, Francis, you're right. Without terpenes, it does lack the entourage effect. Patients that that are prescribed Marinol often complain about um, the way they feel taking just THC and not having anything to counteract that. People complain. Patients often complain that it makes them feel paranoid. So, Christopher says, "Who do we have to sacrifice? No one, in order to get Schedule 3 over the finish line." I don't think we're going to have to sacrifice anyone. First of all, we're all going to have to vote, and we're hopefully going to make really good choices when we vote, because the administration, right? It's not the president; it's the president's administration that could delay or alter the trajectory of moving cannabis to Schedule 3 at the federal level. And look, this isn't an either or scenario. It's not we can have Schedule 3 or we can have it removed from the CSA altogether. Schedule 3 is the process that's happening right now. This is an administrative process. It is dictated by law. To remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allow states to set their own policies without threat of federal interference requires an act of Congress. The president cannot use an executive order to deschedule cannabis. This has to be done by Congress. Congress has had the opportunity to do so many, many times, but we, America, are not putting people in Congress who are good. We're not putting enough people in Congress who are smart, who are good on cannabis policy. That's the problem. Elections have consequences. Please go vote and don't elect people who are terrible on cannabis policy, unless you want terrible cannabis policies. I don't think we have to do anything, Christopher. I think we just have to ride the wave and let this process play out. Hey, James. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, this is not, as Brian's articulating here, this is not NORML's first DEA rodeo. We've been down this road a number of times before. If you want to hear more about this issue in particular, if you're really interested in what the rescheduling process looks like, about how long you can expect it to take, Paul Armentano and I did a show last week about it. It feels like it was last week. Anyhow, go watch it. You can find it. It's archived on NORML's YouTube, on NORML's Facebook, in the video section. It's somewhere on our Twitter, somewhere on our LinkedIn. So you can watch it there. 2 weeks ago, thank you, Brian. I don't know how time works. Megalodon on Instagram, that's funny. On Instagram, Megalodon says, "It's crazy that nitrous oxide is easier to get than a good organic bag of cannabis." Well, it's certainly cheaper in Virginia, because you can buy one in the kitchen supply department, and the other one you have to get a medical certification and then go to a dispensary. But if you go to a dispensary in Virginia, a real one, a medical one, it is organic. So you're welcome. 2 weeks, thank you. Morgan was last week. Yeah, I remember Morgan did last Friday's show, but Paul and I did the show in the middle of the week, and then I couldn't remember when it was. Doesn't matter. No one cares but us. Oh, okay. Yep. Ty, I see you watching on Instagram. Sure you love me calling you out. Thanks for watching. Come produce this show for me instead. Okay, let's get back into some news. All right, one more federally news bit for you here. Oh, look, this is a little bit embarrassing to have to say some of these words. They're super cringe, but here we go. This is good. It's just the name is super cringe. So a U.S. Senate committee, specifically the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, they voted 9-5 to approve S4711. JM, what's S4711, you ask? Can't wait to tell you. It's the Dismantling Outdated Obstacles and Barriers to Individual Employment Act, which most unfortunately is abbreviated as the Doobie Act. Why 2024 are we doing things like that? Anyhow, thank you, Brian. Yeah, I can't. Woof. Anyhow, good news. The committee voted to advance the bill, but we don't have any idea if or when the bill would be scheduled for a full vote by the Senate. But that's the next step. Now, this is great. Similar legislation, which is called the Cure Act, Cannabis Users Restoration of Eligibility, whatever. Cure Act was approved in a bipartisan vote by the House Oversight Committee last September. Of course, states are increasingly taking steps to do similar things where whether it's current or past cannabis use, right? More and more states are taking steps to protect employment rights of cannabis consumers and improve employment opportunities for them. Christopher. Yeah, they did force that one, Brian. Absolutely, but you should still send a message of support. Is my point. If you go to either our Take Action Center, NORML.org/act, you will see it there. You'll see the alert there. If you go to the blog, and there's a button right in the middle of the blog that says send a message and support. So definitely send a message. I'll even drop the link to that action alert in the chat. I'm sorry that I can't give these to you on Instagram, but you can't click links there, so just go to the NORML website when this is over. Nature's Cloud, thank you for asking. Nature's Cloud is watching on Instagram and asks, what does the Doobie Act do? The bill would greatly diminish the discrimination that people who have used cannabis face when they're trying to get federal employment or security clearances. So it would essentially eliminate the ability of federal agencies to disqualify applicants, federal job applicants or security clearance applicants for prior cannabis use, not current cannabis use. This instance would apply only to cannabis use, but some progress is better than no progress. I want this bug to not be flying. It's a little tiny gnat thing. This bug to not be joining the show. I also would like to clean whatever's off my glasses so I can, I don't know, see. That'd be fun. Thank you, Brian, for saying that action alert. Kat, wait, now I took my glasses off. I can't see your comment, but I see that it's your first time joining. Thank you. Hi, Kat. I'm so glad you're here. Kat says, first time catching the show live. I'm thankful that you're here. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, Nature's Cloud. It's good. It's not as good as we'd like it to be, and still has a terrible name. But a step forward is a step forward. So okay. We've got two more. I have more, but Christopher. That's right. Nature's Cloud. Progress is progress. Christopher also welcomes you to the show. Kat, thanks for joining us. Hi, Mike in Anaheim. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yes, Francis. Absolutely. Francis says regulations are all kinds of confusing right now. Individual state laws, the federal laws contradicting each other. Absolutely. Every state that is regulating cannabis or has allowances for cannabis use is in conflict with federal law. As long as marijuana is Schedule 1, even if marijuana is Schedule 3, they're all still in conflict with that. What really has to happen to end this conflict between state and federal law is for marijuana to be removed from the CSA, the Federal Controlled Substances Act, altogether. That is the only way to end this conflict. It's going to leave Christopher's delightful comments up while I read more news. Hey, Reno, thanks for joining us. Okay, this one is important for a reason. Now, look, the subject matter, you're going to be like, yeah, I didn't think it did, so okay. But wait till I tell you. Wait till I tell you what Paul told me about this study. All right. So a recent study looked at the sustained use of specifically medical cannabis. And the data from this study indicate that there is no association with sustained medical cannabis and changes in brain morphology or cognitive performance. Right? This isn't the first study to say this. But the lead researcher on this study said literally the opposite, like 14 years ago. That's why this is big news, especially in our house. Someone who said something that was grossly inaccurate as a researcher a number of years ago just put out a study that was like, well, no, it's not. It doesn't do that. Welcome to the right side of history. It's not even so much, look, science matters. So good job being able to replicate results of other studies, unlike your first one on this issue. Your previous one, I don't know, that was our first one. So if you haven't read that, please do. Hey, people who just joined us on Instagram. Beth, Kiz, Michelle, Brooks, Vivid. Person with lots of letters that I don't know what that means. Dob. Oh, Ben. The house will have a stopgap. Okay, sorry for that. The internet is apparently doing. I'm gonna wait until I see myself on the screen. I'm really, it's real. I'm really here. Sorry. Okay. Yep. There I can see the lag over on Instagram. So I'm gonna wait for that to catch up. I did break the internet. Christopher. I could see that Google was having, like, Google kept forcing me to log back in. I was like, just as I was starting the show, I'm like, can we not do that? I literally need to read the script. But this is the internet here in the building that I have no control over. Anyhow, back to Ben's comment. Ben says, looks like the House will have a stopgap next week for a December 16th CR, continuing resolution, deadline. Is that our vehicle for a proactive cannabis rider? Didn't we ask Morgan this last week? So close. That's a great question for Morgan. I think his answer last week was no, but I'll ask him, Ben, and tell you next week. Hopefully I'll remember. I do take this seriously enough to care about the stream. I take it so seriously. Look, I come to the office specifically to do this show. Wasn't here otherwise. Real serious. Okay, hi NORML Tallahassee. Thank you for making your events easy to find so that I can share them with our viewers. Friends, if you are in Florida and you would like to connect to Tallahassee NORML, they have a networking event on September 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to share this again later, but I'll share it now too, since we're talking about our friends at Tallahassee NORML. NORML Tallahassee is technically the name. You know what I mean. You can find the event on Facebook. You can also find the event on their website, which is normltallahassee.org. Look at me go. Good job, buddy. Your answer is yes, Ben? Okay, I'm here for it. Let's see what happens. Oh, Christopher wants to ask NORML Tallahassee how they're planning to vote on Amendment 3. Of course, they're planning to vote yes. Can you imagine, like, oh, Christopher, well, it won't let me hide your comment. What if we're going to have to see it forever? Okay, there it is. What did I say? Hi, Wade. What did you miss? You missed everything. Nature's Cloud asks, is there a Texas NORML? Yes. Texas NORML is a really great chapter. You can find them at texasnormal.org. And you can find them on Facebook at Texas NORML. You can find them on Instagram at Texas NORML. I don't think they have a YouTube channel. Happy Friday to you as well. Wade, you didn't miss anything that was not in NORML News of the Week. How about that? I mean, there's a small gnat flying around my office, and we talked about that. So, and I broke the internet. You're all caught up now. Hey, Rich and Dob and J-Class and Davi and Derek and whatever. Oh, Top Life. And your Instagram names are very difficult to say. Rebel Scum. Hey, Sandra. Mateus. Real Monsters. B. Hello on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Please hit that follow button. Hi, digging your graves. I love your username so much. That's great. Thank you for watching. Oh, Ben, I see that. Brian, did you submit an application? I would love to have Cleveland NORML chapter. Let's talk about this out in the open. So we do have an Ohio NORML chapter. So the first thing would be to kick it over to Ohio NORML and say, hey, Ohio NORML, Cleveland NORML wants to form. Would you like to form a local chapter of Ohio NORML? And then you all may or may not agree on that. And if you don't agree, then we would turn around and come back and say, okay, then you can form as a, oh my God, I see it. Then you can form as a local chapter independently. That's how that works. For anybody who wants to know, if you want to form a local chapter of NORML, the first thing we do is send you to the state chapter so you can form a local chapter of the state chapter, because it's way easier. But that's not always the path all parties agree upon, and then we have local chapters that are that form independently or are separate legal structures in the state chapter. They all work together still, but that's how that works. IG names. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm missing a whole thing here. I want to know what's going on. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to the show I'm supposed to be hosting for you all and not to the chat. It's fascinating on YouTube. Okay, if you live, good news. If you live in a state that has legalized medical cannabis, then you are experiencing lower healthcare insurance premiums. This study, this analysis looked at all the states, and medical cannabis legalization was associated with lower healthcare insurance premiums. In fact, if all 50 states had implemented had legalized medical cannabis at the same time, employees would have seen a total savings of $4.2 billion for single plans and $2.3 billion for employee plus one in a given year. So thank you, Ben, for the spoilers. Appreciate it. Now I see what you're talking about. Yeah, Wade, I did see that comment about the DEA agreeing with the evaluation of cannabis having medical uses. That doesn't, that we're still going to go through the hearing process. That won't change, but I did see that. So I hope everyone who's in a state with medical cannabis is in fact experiencing lower healthcare insurance premiums. NORML Tallahassee, is that? I'm going to assume this. Okay, NORML Tallahassee says yes on 3. We'll only leave a scar. Is that what you meant to say? Am I saying that properly? Without proper implementation from Florida NORML chapters input. Agree. NORML Tallahassee has been lobbying language for years in anticipation of state legalization, because that's how you do it. And fortunately, Florida already regulates medical cannabis, and separate from, I'm not saying they're the best at it, but fortunately the state already has. It is not reinventing the wheel. It's not inventing anything. That's very fortunate. And Florida has arguably the opportunity to be the largest cannabis market in the country. And there are significant issues with the medical cannabis program in Florida that hopefully are corrected. Like your patient certification and your patient state card should be on the same timeline, not two separate. One's 9 months and one's a year. It's the dumbest thing. And evaluations are way too expensive in Florida. That should definitely change. But you have a lot of dispensaries, product available to patients, so you're prepared to legalize and turn on sales there. But yeah, I'm super happy that our Florida chapters are being vocal and are saying, hey, we've been planning for this. We know what's coming. We're ready for it. I mean, did they really admit it, though? Brian says the DEA finally inadvertently admitted to being wrong for over half a century. So, I mean, Nixon disclose the same. Like, believe that. I mean, how would you believe that after the Schaefer report? Yet you still signed it in to Schedule 1. Yeah, it's that resident plus visitor population in Florida. I agree, Melissa. It is. It's a lot. Retirement communities for cannabis. Look, seniors are the fastest growing consumer segment of cannabis. Yes, but Christopher, they're not. Christopher says if the Florida legislature was worth a damn, they would have a set of laws on hand ready to pass to go along with and complement Amendment 3. Schaefer, yeah, exactly. All right, we did insurance premiums, we did swing state voters, we did S4711. Did brain morphology, we did both candidates, and we did Nixon. We did them all. There were some other newses this week that we didn't do because I thought we had too many, but you can read them in NORML news. You can get all of these stories and more Thursday at about. It did it again. Now I'm going to wait and make sure that the whole thing catches back up. Ugh. Okay, we'll start over. Hey, you can get all of these stories and more delivered to your inboxes Thursday at about 4:20 p.m. Eastern, because we're funny, when you subscribe to NORML News. Go to norml.org/subscribe. Super easy. Also, I'll put a link in there. Sorry, I can't. Sunspot's probably been. Sorry, Instagram, I can't give you the links there, but you can go to the top of the NORML profile, and we have a link there. We have that at the top of our link in bio page as well. You can go to the front page of NORML and click the subscribe button. Anyhow, it's norml.org/subscribe. And also, if you check the weekend weed read box, then you will always get the weekend weed read on Saturday mornings. That delivers about 9 a.m. Eastern, between 9 a.m. and 9:15 Eastern, because it goes out in 2 chunks. Christopher. But yeah, make sure you subscribe, and you can just get the news in your inbox. Ben, I think you're right about the sunspots, because I'm fairly certain that we have in this building some like sat Wi-Fi. I mean, we had Verizon for a while in this building, and it would go out all the time. So lose. I was going to take a peek and see if there were any other news stories that I wanted to tell you about, because I had to delete some because I didn't have room. But look, there was another one that we covered this week, and this, like, you know how we say it's the same story over and over. Medical cannabis is associated with clinically meaningful quality of life improvements. Yes. This was done in Pennsylvania. Nick, this was done in Pennsylvania, Nick. But this is about newly authorized patients who begin using medical cannabis products, and they experience rapid and clinically meaningful improvements in their health-related quality of life. Patients reported greater than 20% improvements in their physical health, social functioning, and emotional well-being following their introduction to medical cannabis. So that's kind of interesting. Christos, please feel free to tell me how secondhand smoke is a major issue. You don't like how it smells? Okay. I'm not certain what your concern is, that you don't like how it smells. I'm not being flippant either. I'm genuinely curious what your concern is. Okay, I think this is funny, Christopher. What the building we're in, was it built on top of an ancient burial mound? No, I'm not in Florida. Or definitely would have been. Um, no, it's just like an area that there's a lot of construction. There's a huge, well, for this area, a high rise for this area going right there behind me. There's a lot of development on this road that we're on here. You can discuss with me online also, because you brought it up here, if you want to talk about it. But it could be haunted. You're right. And it will be haunted when Veronica comes back. I almost brought her today, but then I forgot on my way from the garage to my car. You'll see. If you don't remember from last year, you'll see. And then here's one. Okay, this, I really want to ask Paul this question because he read the entire he has the entire study, and I did not read the entire study. But I found this really weird. So this is a clinical trial that was done in Iran, and it is about the topical application of hemp seed oil, and that it reduces osteoarthritic knee pain. And so as a clinical trial, it assessed the efficacy of cold pressed hemp seed oil versus either a placebo or the NSAID diclofenac. The brand name is Voltaren. You can get it as a generic now as well. It's kind of like topical. It's kind of like topical Advil, topical ibuprofen. Kind of, but stronger. Thank you, Brian. But what's really interesting to me is researchers reported the topical application of hemp seed oil provided therapeutic effects similar to those of diclofenac. How? What? I want to know what the active mechanism is in the seed other than fatty acids. Is it the massaging that was helpful? Because there's no cannabinoids in seeds. Did they not wash the seeds? Do they just call it hemp seed oil in Iran? I have questions that I could have asked my colleague before. Paul, if you're watching, these are my burning questions. Please tell me. I literally read this and was like, I don't understand how that's efficacious at all. I want to know the science behind it. I have my partner uses diclofenac. I don't. Yes, Voltaren. Yes, Chris. Same thing. Voltaren. I don't know, but this is a clinical trial, so yeah, it is so interesting. Okay, did I? That was it. There's no I think that we talked about this one last week. Rising percentage of older adults are turning to cannabis, because that one came out the same day that I did the show last week. Yeah, we did a lot of news. We did so many newses. We have the best news. I want to tell you all a few things. Early voting has started in states. It's definitely started in Virginia. I think it's also started in other states as well. The cannabis businessman, you are welcome. Thank you for watching us on Instagram. Okay, Klenderman watching on Instagram asking about Tennessee. Let's pop over to the Take Action Center together. Shall we? We shall. I don't have any pending action alerts in Tennessee at the moment. I'm not an expert on Tennessee's legislative cycle, but I'm guessing they're not in session at this point in time. We do have a chapter in Tennessee, Tennessee NORML. Please join Tennessee NORML. Get involved with them if you haven't yet. And I think that I'm trying to look up their, because I know they just built a new website, and there we go. I wasn't entirely certain what it was, but Klinderman, Tennessee NORML, you can find them at tnnorml.org. That's tnnorml.org. So you can connect with the people doing the work in Tennessee. Ooh, I'm looking at their website right now. Okay, I don't agree with that, but whatever. That is where you can connect with them. And you don't have a ballot initiative process. To the best of my knowledge in Tennessee, I think that's one of the states that would have to pass it to the legislature. And as I was, where did I put them? One time, I actually wanted, oh no, where'd they go? My signs are way over here. Okay, we're back at it. Here's the thing. In Tennessee and everywhere, elections have consequences. So if you elect terrible people, not terrible people, if you elect people who are terrible on cannabis policy, you will get terrible cannabis policies. You're feeling that in Tennessee right now, aren't you? Good news, it's time to vote. So what we segueing back to what we originally started talking about, it's time to vote. At least in November, if not already, wherever you live. And we want you to be an informed cannabis voter. So here's some things that you can do to help, as we say at NORML, smoke the vote in 2024. You can check out our voter guide. It's at vote.norml.org. Vote.norml.org is NORML's Smoke the Vote voter guide. You can see who's on your ballot and where they stand on cannabis policies. Now, if you see someone on the ballot and they don't have an answer, they don't have a grade, there's no information, it's because they didn't fill out our survey, which everyone has received, and they don't have any record, like voting record or position statements that we were able to find through an internet search. But maybe you know them personally, or maybe you've heard them say something before. Please ask them to submit the form. There's a position, like a candidate information form directly on Smoke the Vote, and then there's one on the NORML website as well. What we need is a published article, a published statement from the campaign or the individual. We can take an email from the campaign through our form, or even directly to politics at NORML, policy@norml.org. What else? If they did a Facebook Live, if someone else streamed them saying something and we can find it, we can see it. As long as we can cite it, that's what we're looking for. So yeah, if you have information that we don't have, please share it with us. But NORML Smoke the Vote voter guide will help you be an informed cannabis voter. Then if you're looking for election news, as it comes, as it relates to this election cycle, you can visit NORML Election Central. You can see the ballot measures that are pending around the country. We have Florida, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. We're still waiting to hear about Arkansas. And then in Texas, there are three local initiatives in Texas, Bastrop, Dallas, and Lockhart. You can find all of that in NORML's Election Central. That's norml.org/election. When you're at Election Central, you'll also be able to not only see the ballot measures, but there's a section for election news. You can see all of the content we have created around news around the elections, different measures, things like that. And there's a register to vote link. If you aren't registered to vote, there's still time, normal.org/vote. Make sure you are registered to vote, normal.org/vote. Yeah, those are all the election things I want to tell you about. What? Okay. I want to catch up on your comments. Listen, I love that. 21 says felt good to vote yes last year in Ohio. And look, that's great, right? It felt good to watch Ohio vote yes and to finally be able to check that state off the map. Florida, it's going to feel real good to vote yes on Amendment 3 this November. Same thing in North Dakota and South Dakota. Going to feel real good. Do it. Nebraska, do it. I'm not going to read that, Christopher. Oh, I have to delete your comment because that's obnoxious. Not you, Christopher, someone else. No, Ben, Christopher, Tree, Brian, you're all good. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look. Anything new in Georgia? No, but thanks, Christopher. Nothing new in Georgia, other than you fix your medical program. Start there. I know you're late, Tree, but it's okay. I mean, it's a passing grade. It's not as good as an A, but he does in fact have a C from normal based on his statement that he intends to vote in support of Amendment 3. There you go. Christos, thank you for your comment here. Christos says, I'm an advocate of cannabis use, particularly medicinally. With regard to my question, it's both the odor and airborne particulate matter that can be harmful. Note that what's inhaled isn't the issue. It's what's exhaled that makes it easier for regulators who are not proponents of cannabis that will impose their restrictions by focusing on secondhand smoke. Good. I don't disagree with you on that. And the good news is we already have laws around the country around secondhand smoke. If you can't smoke tobacco, you have an Indoor Clean Air Act. Let's just use Virginia as the example because that's where I am. We have an Indoor Clean Air Act. It applies to smoking, period. And that's how we solved that conversation, the conversation that you're talking about, where people started to, opponents started to get, try to glom onto that issue, and we're like, no, we have the Indoor Clean Air Act. Same rule applies. This is not a topic that can be covered in sound bites or a form of this kind. Sure can be, because I'm doing it right now, and I've done it in far more important forums like the Virginia General Assembly. If we want to normalize cannabis, then step should be something. Yeah. Look, New York gets it right. New York gets it right. New York is like, if you can smoke tobacco, you can smoke cannabis. Because smoking is smoking, and we don't need to differentiate between the two. Who cares? They both smell bad. Great. Don't smoke in the car with children. All those basic things. I think as long as we stick to, here's what the Indoor Clean Air Act says, there's no intention of violating that. That really cuts that argument off at the knees. And then, to that point, as you heard me do, when people start talking about, you go everywhere and you smell it. Oh, okay, and There are lots of things I smell outside that I don't want to smell, and that's not how it smells is a non-starter. People will say that, and you can very easily cut down that argument with. That's not what we're here to talk about. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly, Ryan. Ryan says we can only smoke cigarettes in designated smoking areas nowadays. I remember way back when we used to smoke in restaurants, had smoking and non-smoking sections, no more. That's progress. Exactly. And we apply the same rules. But when, like, Minnesota just enacted a law about smoking in multi-family living, so you can't smoke or vape cannabis specifically in multi-family living residential units, like, apartment complexes or whatever. Where do those people smoke? If it's illegal to smoke outside, I'm not saying it is illegal. I don't know Minnesota's laws that well, but if it's not legal to smoke in your home that you're renting, which could be the case really anywhere, because if you're renting, if you don't own that, and there aren't legal protections in place that allow you to smoke in the dwelling that you don't own, then where do you smoke if it's not legal to smoke outside? New York has a lot of apartments, a lot of multi-family residences, and they were like, "Oh, you smoke outside, the same place where you can smoke cigarettes. Problem solved." If you're going to go to Germany, Christopher, maybe do it legally. Oh, yes, Christopher. Yes. I wish this were on your For You page. Oh, hi, Woodyard. Hi, Woodyard. It is Friday today. Uh, yeah, I mean, Ryan, I did live in Manhattan before weed was legal, and it smelled like weed then too. Also, I lived in Richmond before weed was legal, and it smelled like weed here too. The difference is now it's legal, and when I smell it, I shout "You're welcome" because I think I'm funny. I mean, I am. Ponderosa, God. I remember being able to smoke at Disney. Like, you remember schools having smoking sections? I do remember that when I was in high school, there was a place where, like, I think it was only people who were 16 or older. Because I think, was it 16 legal smoking age then? Whatever. You had to be some age, and then you could go smoke somewhere in the high school. And when I worked at Disney, which was right after high school, I remember you could smoke, like, in the building, like, not in the park level, but in the employee level, cast member level. The tunnels, you could smoke down there. You're from Kentucky, you need a card. Scott, is that a question? Yes, Scott, in Kentucky, you can get a medical cannabis certification. If you have questions about Kentucky's medical cannabis laws, Kentucky NORML is a great chapter. You can find them at kynormal.org. Lauren is their deputy director, and you can also find them on TikTok. They're very active on TikTok, and Lauren has recently put up a lot of video content about Kentucky's medical program. So if you need that, check them out. Thank you for sharing that information, NORML Tallahassee. I just assume this is Melissa. If it's not Melissa, sorry, you're Melissa now. Melissa says Florida is preparing for cultivation centers with equitable licensing and marijuana consumption lounges. Great. glad to hear that. That's a really important issue for Florida. Not having consumption venues is insane in a state like that. Just the amount of visitors that the vacation capital of the world, right? You have to have a place for people to go. Otherwise, they do it outside, and then some people get mad about that, or it's illegal, and then you get arrested or fined. I can't wait to go back and read all of your comments that I'm missing. Yeah, HOAs can be problematic. I live in an HOA, and I'm always watching for them to say something snarky because I will be right on top of that. With those people want to grow weed in their backyard, they can come at me. But bye, Nick. Are you leaving us? Oh, it is 5. What messages do you want to send? Person asking on YouTube, y'all, where do we send those messages? What messages? Hey, Papa on Instagram asks, did I just freeze again? With Schedule 3 possibly rolling around, what, in my honest opinion, what effect will that have on home growers and grow shops? None. It will have no effect whatsoever on consumers. If you want to watch a whole show where we talk about rescheduling, you can find that on NORML's YouTube, on NORML's Facebook, in the Live with NORML section. But it doesn't have, moving cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 doesn't have any meaningful impact on consumers at all. Every state program right now, medical or adult use, every state program right now is in complete conflict with federal law with marijuana at Schedule 1. With marijuana at Schedule 3, every state program will still be completely in conflict with that. Christos, thanks for sharing that. Christos says, my point is that consumers should not be restricted from being able to consume in their own home. Agreed. That's overreach. It is, however, the way rental properties work now, the owner can typically say things like, you can't have cats in this property. You can't smoke tobacco in this property. And so to say you can't smoke cannabis is pretty much in line with that. But to restrict consumption altogether would be, that's absolutely an overreach. To say like, oh, you can't stand on your balcony and vape an odorless product or eat edibles in your kitchen. Like, that's no. The way to solve it is through technology. Yeah, I think I've seen some technology that for this in particular. Most recently, I saw a product by the same, oh, my brain is breaking right now. There's a company that makes a countertop decarboxylator, and they have a what you're talking about, an air remediator, like you essentially smoke into that instead. Anyhow, I'll look at your thing. That's interesting. Oh, you too. You're welcome, Christos. Thanks for your question. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And Christopher, you can hit me with your last question. It's fine. HOAs are interesting, aren't they, Fred? I knew it was you, Melissa, because we just talked about the show. But then I was like, oh, wait, it could have been like one of the other officers logged on, and they're like, why are you calling me Melissa? Oh, look, Schedule 3 doesn't, I mean, look, it's fine. I'm going to move to Schedule 3. Coolio. We're a consumer org, so that's what we focus on. no meaningful impact to consumers. It'd be great if moving into Schedule 3 did allow state licensed businesses to begin taking standard tax deductions. That would be great because of the businesses. It'd be great because if they can take those standard tax deductions that other businesses can take, then there would be less of a cost of production, of operation to pass on to the consumers. So we would like that to happen so that consumers have lower prices. Hi, Melissa. I try other Melissa. Volcanoes still smell though. They still smell like, they still stink. They still smell like weed. The what you breathe out still smells like weed. Anyhow, I tried to call you the other day so we could talk about the conference. Let's just talk about that during the show. I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna text you, call you. One of those things is gonna happen after the show. So be waiting for that. Yeah, it all smells some. Samuel, you are gonna have to replay it. Okay. I'm getting back on track. You guys are delightful. Did I miss any other? No, I didn't. No, can't read that. Thank you. Thank you everyone who just joined us on Instagram. hit that follow button. Hey, I have been threatening to make more. First of all, I just wiped chai on my pants and I have to go out to dinner, so that was really smart. I don't have to, I get to. I want you all to know about these events that are coming up. I see your question. Thank you, Christopher. Let's do events. Here we go. Okay, it's the All Florida with the Taste of Pennsylvania coming up. Here we go. First up, when you're looking for more NORML events, and why wouldn't you be? The Rotation is a podcast by our Florida chapter, Suncoast NORML. It airs Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can find it there. Suncoast NORML. If you want to, if you're on Instagram, sorry, I can't give you links on Instagram, but you can find Suncoast NORML on Instagram and their show streams on YouTube. Oh, I was talking about TikTok and then I got sidetracked by humor. I'll remember that next. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, NORML Tallahassee has a networking event coming up on September 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can find that event on Facebook on NORML Tallahassee. You can find it on the NORML Facebook as well because I put it there. And you can find it on their website at normltallahassee.org. Some people at 6 o'clock in the, oh, you mean 11 a.m. on Sunday? I'm not in a cult, so I don't know that one. Coming up in October, Lehigh Valley NORML will be participating, will be hosting, really, Lobby Day for Pennsylvania. This will be October 1st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You absolutely should register in advance. If you're watching on Instagram, Lehigh Valley NORML is on Instagram. You can also find them on Facebook. But register for Pennsylvania Lobby Day. You're welcome, Christopher. No holds barred. And then one more event. Only is the All Florida and Pennsylvania event show. The 2024 NORML Key West Legal Seminar is December 5th through 7th at the Pier House Resort and Spa. And that's right, Key West, Florida. Register now. If you want to stay at the Pier House, please reserve your room. now before they sell out. They sell out pretty quickly. We do have a discounted room block. All that information, as well as how to register, is at normal.org/Key West. Now, if you are a practicing attorney and you're in a state that requires continuing legal education credits, good news, our legal seminars are fully accredited in every state that requires CLEs for their practicing attorneys. So we got you. If you're not an attorney or you just don't need those CLEs, we still got you. We got you with a discounted rate. So come to Key West, hang out with me, Paul, Keith, Randy, and a lot of amazing speakers from around the country who specialize in cannabis law. This is an excellent legal seminar, not only for attorneys, but for anyone who's interested in cannabis law and working together as we move from prohibition to cannabis freedom. I'm on both, Christopher. Both shoulders. Okay, yeah, I don't know what I did. I like opened it and I splashed it and apparently one of our children had wiped it on my pants. Let's see. We did all the news, we did all the events. I want to tell you about TikTok. Look, we have a TikTok. I know that most of you are, of a certain age, but TikTok is life, and I should probably make some more content for it, shouldn't I? What do you want it to be? Follow NORML on TikTok, and then I'll do that. NORML.org is what we are on TikTok. I did it all. I did all the things. It's 5:15. What's wrong with me? Why am I still at work? I cannot wait to go back and read the rest of these YouTube comments. I'm dying. Good grief. I don't know. Ben, we are made of $0. Zero. All right, everyone. This has been a blast. I really appreciate you all taking time to nerd out and talk about cannabis policy and science with me and all of our friends on a Friday afternoon. We try to do this every week, so make sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. Christopher, I assure you that is not going to be the case as long as we have children under 18, and I am trying to convince people in the Virginia General Assembly that I'm a grown-up and they should believe what I say. But I will answer your question from earlier. Thank you so much for asking, Christopher. I should have pinned it or something so I didn't have to scroll so far. Here it is. Christopher, you're supposed to say what's my favorite type, but that's fine. Christopher says I've been enjoying something called Triple Burger. Okay. What's a good cultivar that I would recommend everyone trying out? Look, I don't care if people use cannabis or not. I just want to be sure they're not going to jail for consuming cannabis responsibly. But I will tell you, Christopher, that my favorite type of cannabis is legal cannabis. Of course. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Woodyard. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, everyone else. Thank you, Canna Cape Cod, because I saw you for joining, because I saw your name last week, and that just gives me joy. I love Cape Cod. This has been a blast, everyone. Thank you so much for your questions. I love them. If you're watching this afterward and I didn't get a chance to answer your questions, you can email us at normal@normal.org. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Join us back here next week. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.